The man would never have imagined, in just one night, the entire city would be swallowed by a flood. Last night, it was the bustling Magic City. Now only a few skyscrapers can be seen. This scene before him frightened Su Li so much that he staggered back a few steps. He looked at the damp ground, still filled with many doubts. How could such a massive flood not make any noise at all? Or was it because he fell asleep drunk that he didn't hear anything? Thinking of this, Su Li went into the hallway and knocked on his neighbor's door. Seeing no response for a long time, he cautiously pushed the door open. The living room was a mess. There was no sign of anyone inside. On the dining table was a bowl of uneaten instant noodles, as if they had suddenly encountered something and rushed out in a panic. Su Li had a bad feeling. Was he the only one left in the building? Had everyone else escaped? But the thick layer of dust on the table made Su Li feel that something was very wrong. And what kind of flash flood could submerge an entire city overnight? It was completely illogical. Su Li took out his phone to check. As expected, there was no signal. Even the emergency call got no response. Su Li's heart was filled with despair. I'm the only one abandoned here. After a while, Su Li forced himself to calm down. He couldn't just sit here and wait for death. After the power outage, the elevator must have stopped working. So Su Li went to the emergency exit. He found the floodwater had almost reached the 30th floor where he was. The water looked quite murky. Su Li squatted down and gently touched it with his hand. Suddenly, a ripple appeared in the water, and a faint sound came from it. Su Li, who was in a daze, was startled. He jumped to his feet. A dark shadow slowly rose from the water. Su Li calmed himself down and stared intently at the water. Then his face filled with fear, because he saw that the floating shadow was a woman's head. Su Li was also horrified to discover that it was the young lady from the 29th floor, and the body was bloated and swollen, looking like it had been soaked in water for a long time. There were also signs of her hands being gnawed on. Could it be the fish in the water, or maybe some other creature? Su Li dared not make another sound. He quickly returned to his room and gathered food, weapons, and tools. As for escape plans, one was to stay here temporarily, go to the rooftop, send smoke signals, and wait for rescue. The second was to build a wooden raft and proactively search for other survivors outside. No sooner said than done. Just as Su Li was leaving with some books, he suddenly widened his eyes. New footprints had appeared in the hallway at some point, leading all the way to the neighbor's door. Could it be that there was someone else here? But the stairs outside were flooded. Su Li didn't act rashly. Instead, he went back to get a kitchen knife and a hammer. He cautiously called out from outside, but besides his own voice, the hallway and the room were dead silent. Just then, a noise came from inside the room. A monster with a hideous face walked out. It looked just like the zombies from the movies. Before Su Li could react, the monster leaped and pounced on him. It happened so suddenly. Su Li had no time to defend himself and was instantly tackled. The monster's strength was immense. He couldn't break free even with all his might. Just as the monster opened its bloody maw, Su Li, ignoring his fear, kicked it away with all his strength. But the monster seemed to feel no pain. It quickly pounced again. Su Li struggled to his feet. The moment the monster reached him, he smashed its head with the hammer in his hand. Seeing the monster stop moving, Su Li finally let out a sigh of relief. He never thought zombies would actually exist. Could it be the Great Flood that caused a mutation? Before he could figure it out, the monster's corpse suddenly glowed. Then, in Su Li's mind, a message suddenly appeared: Spirit Essence 1/5. Following that, a strange energy surged through his body. Soon, his entire body became scorching hot. Su Li felt something was off with his body. His wounds had actually healed, and he felt full of energy again. His strength was also several times greater than before. Looking at the corpse on the ground, Su Li was lost in thought. It seemed the world had changed. Not only was the whole city flooded, but there was also this mysterious spirit essence. If all corpses would reanimate, then this city would become extremely dangerous, because the Magic City had tens of millions of residents. Thinking of that number, Su Li felt a chill run down his spine. It seems I have to find a rescue team soon. Arriving at the rooftop, Su Li was once again shocked by the sight. It was as if the entire earth had turned into a world of water. Then he looked at the nearest building. He wondered if there were any survivors, but no matter what, he had to find a way to check. Then he set the books on fire. to create a large amount of smoke. If there were really survivors nearby, seeing the rising smoke here, maybe they would react. But he waited for a full half hour, and saw no sign of life nearby. In the end, he could only give up waiting. When he returned, he found the stairs were completely submerged. The water level was still slowly rising. This meant the 30th floor was no longer safe. Feeling the urgency of the situation, Su Li started to build a raft. He tied a wooden door and a mattress together. It could just about support one person's weight. If he could just make an oar, he was confident he could paddle to the building opposite. No sooner said than done. The first thing Su Li thought of was a clothes drying pole. Suddenly, he saw something floating in the water outside the balcony window. A corpse was floating there. Su Li's heart skipped a beat, and his face turned pale. This corpse won't reanimate too, will it? Frightened, he tied a hammer to the pole. Then he opened the window and reached towards the floating corpse. He wanted to push the corpse far away. Suddenly, the corpse's head shot up. Su Li was startled. He almost dropped the pole in his hand. The corpse's arms trembled, as if it wanted to struggle out of the water. Then it suddenly sank down. A huge force emerged from the water, pulling the corpse down. With a gurgle, the corpse sank into the water and disappeared. Only a splash was left on the surface. Su Li's eyes widened. His face was pale. Then he shut the window tightly, because besides the corpses, there were other, more terrifying things in the water. He thought of the female corpse he had seen earlier, which also had signs of being gnawed on. Su Li collapsed to the floor. If he really went out on the raft, it would truly be a one-way trip. But with his current food supply, he could last 4 days at most. A hint of despair rose in Su Li's heart. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Su Li tensed up immediately. He gripped the hammer tightly in his hand, and tiptoed to the front door. Looking through the peephole, he saw, it was the corpse from before, but it seemed one of its legs was broken. Since it would find him sooner or later, he might as well strike first. And he also wanted to confirm his theory. Before the zombie could react, Su Li landed a precise hammer blow on its head. The moment the zombie fell, just as he had expected, a message appeared in his mind. Spirit Essence 2/5. He faintly felt his strength had increased several times over again. This meant that as long as he killed these zombies, he could obtain Spirit Essence to strengthen himself. This way, he could survive in this apocalypse. He just didn't know what would happen after 5 Spirit Essences. What changes his body would undergo. Before he could finish his thought, the sound of a window breaking came from behind him. A zombie climbed in through the window. It was an intact zombie. He could feel it was much stronger than the previous ones. Now Su Li had no way to retreat. He could only brace himself and charge forward. To his surprise, the zombie agilely caught his hammer. If he hadn't just gotten the second Spirit Essence, he would have been defeated in an instant. Outmatched in strength, Su Li tried to create distance. But unexpectedly, his full power kick didn't even make the zombie budge. The next second, the zombie threw a powerful palm strike. Su Li had no time to dodge. He was sent flying. The force of this palm strike was immense. Su Li felt like he had been hit by a sledgehammer. Even a few of his ribs were broken. As the zombie pounced again, in a life-or-death moment, Su Li yanked a piece of clothing from the floor, instantly making the zombie lose its balance. Then he swung the hammer at it. This hammer blow was followed by the sound of cracking bones. The zombie fell backward heavily. Su Li heaved a sigh of relief. Then, the energy enveloped his whole body. Luckily, Spirit Essence had a healing ability. Otherwise he would have really died here, because just then, 2 more zombies climbed in through the window. With his previous combat experience, and the recent power-up, facing 2 zombies, Su Li handled them with ease. He killed them all in no time. A lot of information then appeared in his mind. At the same time, a new power surged within him. Spirit Essence 5/5. Promotion successful. Level 1 Spirit Essence user. Stomach, lungs. You can choose to enhance one of them. Thinking about this world full of water, Su Li chose to enhance his lungs without hesitation. Immediately, a new message appeared in his mind. Lung enhancement initiated. Learned enhanced lungs. Su Li took a deep breath, and found his lung capacity had doubled. He could hold his breath for at least 2.5 minutes. This was the hope for survival. Only then did a smile appear on Su Li's face. If he collected 10 more Spirit Essences, there was a high chance he could enhance himself again. It would be safer to leave then. Thinking of this, Su Li returned to his room. He fell asleep almost as soon as he lay down. That night, he had one nightmare after another. He dreamed that he fell into the depths of the ocean. A huge figure appeared before him, constantly making strange noises. Become stronger. I'll be waiting for you here. Su Li suddenly woke up from his dream. When he looked out the window, his eyes widened instantly, because outside, there was a giant single eye, staring intently at him. Su Li didn't dare to breathe. He didn't make the slightest sound. This kind of monster was definitely not something he could fight. Just as Su Li was about to leave quietly, the giant frog suddenly attacked, frantically ramming the security bars on the window. Su Li quickly went forward to brace it with both hands. Seeing this, the giant frog retreated back into the water. After a short pause, it then kicked its limbs forcefully, and rammed the window again. With a loud bang, the window was instantly shattered. The frog's head came in. Su Li charged forward without hesitation. While the monster hadn't fully entered, this was his only chance. But the next second, the giant frog's tongue shot out like an arrow. Su Li's vision blurred. It felt like being hit by an iron whip. The giant frog squeezed in through the window. As soon as it landed, it pounced towards Su Li. Su Li endured the immense pain in his body, and threw the sofa at it like a weapon. Then he turned and rushed into the bathroom. He wanted to use the small space of the bathroom to restrict it. As expected, the giant frog's head got stuck in the doorway. Its huge body couldn't get in at all. Su Li seized the opportunity. He brought the kitchen knife in his hand down on its head, striking the giant frog's huge eye. The knife sank in almost completely. Su Li dared not relax in the slightest. He continued to swing the knife, chopping relentlessly, only stopping when he had no strength left. Just then, a message appeared in his mind. Level 1 Spirit Essence User. Spirit Essence 8/10. He didn't expect that killing a giant frog could yield 2 spirit essences. At the same time, his already exhausted body began to surge with new power. Su Li's spirits lifted. He slowly pushed the giant frog's corpse out of the bathroom. Suddenly, its huge eyeball began to wither rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it shrank to the size of a marble, and flew towards the spot between Su Li's eyebrows. Su Li felt this was different from the spirit essence. Just then, a new message appeared in his mind. Obtained a partial scrying rune. Can be used to scry spirit essence beasts. Su Li was somewhat astonished. He didn't expect such a pleasant surprise. Spirit essence beast must refer to this frog. Su Li couldn't wait to try this new ability. With a thought, several runes immediately appeared between his eyebrows. Then a new message appeared in his mind. One-eyed frog, an elite among level 1 spirit essence beasts. Feeds on low-level corpse beasts. Ferocious by nature. Kill monsters. Level up. Get skill drops. Isn't this exactly a game mechanic? Could it be that the current world has undergone an unprecedented change? The old rules no longer exist. But real life and death is not a game, so he must go out to see what has happened to this world. But before that, he needed to hunt more monsters to improve himself, so he used the giant frog's corpse to successfully attract 10 zombies. Su Li first activated the scrying rune. He originally just wanted to try it, but unexpectedly, new information appeared in his mind. It was an introduction to these zombies. Corpse beast, the lowest level of infected spirit essence beast, has a certain chance to evolve. Su Li, holding the kitchen knife, was a little excited. For him now, this kind of low-level corpse beast posed no threat, and he happened to need 2 more spirit essences, so Su Li charged forward without hesitation. In the blink of an eye, he killed 2 corpse beasts. As the spirit essence in his body reached 10/10, a hot current immediately surged through his body. In an instant, his strength, speed, and senses were all greatly enhanced. Message after message appeared in his mind. Choose to upgrade. Enhanced lungs, enhanced stomach, enhanced muscles. After the fight with the one-eyed frog, Su Li understood that only with enough strength could he hunt stronger enemies, so he decisively chose to enhance his muscles. Su Li felt that all over his body, waves of power were erupting from his muscles. He could now exert a force of 350 kilograms. His body also became incredibly tough. He could even use it to block attacks. At this moment, the other corpse beasts charged forward. This was exactly what Su Li wanted. It was a good chance to test how much he had improved. With just a casual swing of his hammer, A corpse beast was sent flying dozens of meters away. What followed was a one-sided slaughter. But to his surprise, these corpse beasts didn't produce any spirit essence. Su Li pondered for a moment. Were these corpse beasts too low level, so he couldn't absorb their spirit essence? As his strength increased, Su Li decided to leave this place and find a way out. So he moved his supplies onto the raft and paddled towards the next building. Although it was only a distance of 40 to 50 meters, Su Li was on edge, afraid that a monster would attack the raft from underwater. As he approached the building, Su Li first threw a brick inside, to confirm there was no movement. Only then did he climb in stealthily. The house had a strong musty smell. It seemed like no one had lived there for a long time. Even the food in the refrigerator was rotten. Afterwards, Su Li checked the other rooms. Suddenly, he smelled a strong scent of blood. This immediately put Su Li on high alert. He cautiously pushed open a door. Inside were all killed corpse beasts. Could there be a survivor hiding here? Su Li took a deep breath and silently activated the scrying rune. Then he went to a bedroom and knocked on the door. Unfortunately, there was no response. Just then, Su Li found a key on the floor. After a moment's hesitation, he picked up the key and opened the door. Inside lay a middle-aged man. His chest was torn open by a huge wound. Although he was already dead, he still tightly gripped a wooden stick in his hand. The scrying rune didn't show him as a corpse beast. Then he must be the survivor. And the wound on his chest was likely inflicted by a powerful spirit essence beast. At this point, Su Li could only silently inherit his weapon. Just then, a slight noise came from the closet. Su Li's hair stood on end. He immediately picked up the stick and became vigilant, staring intently at the closet in front of him. He took a deep breath and slowly approached. Then he yanked the door open. Su Li was slightly stunned. Inside the closet was a 12 or 13-year-old girl, her arms wrapped tightly around her bent legs. Su Li stared at her, gripping the iron rod. The girl showed no reaction at all. She just stared blankly ahead. If he hadn't felt her breathing, Su Li would have mistaken her for a corpse. Noticing the tear stains on her face, and looking at the middle-aged man's body on the floor, Su Li vaguely understood something. The middle-aged man must have discovered the corpse beasts and made his daughter hide in the closet. But why did the monster leave after killing him? It didn't eat his corpse, nor did it find the girl hiding in the closet. This puzzled Su Li. He cleared his throat. He coughed softly. "I won't hurt you. Is this your father?" Seeing the little girl still didn't respond, Su Li understood that she was in a state of shock, which was why she was in a catatonic state. He felt pity for the girl. So Su Li took out a small bag of bread and offered it to her. The method worked. The dazed girl finally reacted. The tempting aroma of the bread made her swallow instinctively. Seeing she had a reaction, Su Li was relieved. He nodded at her. "Here, for you. I have more." The girl seemed to understand his words. She hesitantly took the bread. After hesitating for 2 or 3 seconds, she finally started to nibble on it very carefully. She ate very slowly, even though it was just a piece of bread. It still took her a while to finish. Su Li handed her a small bag of cookies. He actually felt a pang of reluctance. These were life-saving supplies. But Su Li couldn't bear to leave her to die. Besides, he also longed for a companion. In the apocalypse, loneliness is the most terrifying thing. The girl's small hand reached out, but then stopped. A hint of hesitation showed on her face. "I have a lot more here." Su Li tried to force a smile. He thought to himself that this girl was quite good at reading expressions. After eating the bread and cookies, the girl's complexion became a bit rosier. Su Li silently observed her. The girl was quite cute. "What's your name? How old are you?" The girl licked the crumbs off her fingers, and then looked at Su Li. Her lips moved slightly. "Shu Shuehue, 13 years old." Su Li, trying to make small talk, said, "That's a nice name." He watched the girl as he spoke, and saw her looking at the middle-aged man's corpse. Then she climbed out of the closet, and lowered her head slightly, stroking his face. Su Li saw that her clothes were torn in many places, and stained with blood. This made Su Li a little curious. She wasn't injured, so why were her clothes so torn? "Is he your father?" Su Li took a deep breath. Although it was cruel, he still asked the question. Shu Shuehue didn't answer. Her thin shoulders just trembled slightly, as if responding to him, or as if she were crying. Su Li sighed secretly. He decided to take her and leave this place. so he reached out and took the girl's hand. Xu Shuahui tried to stand up using his hand for support, but she fell back down after getting halfway up. This slightly startled Su Li. He thought, if her legs couldn't stand, in this perilous world, she would become a huge burden. "I'm fine. My legs are just numb. It will be fine in a moment." A flash of panic appeared in Xu Zuhui's eyes. It seemed she saw Su Li's concern, afraid that this man before her would abandon her. Su Li understood. She had been curled up in the closet before, so the blood circulation in her legs was poor, which was why she couldn't stand up. "You rest here for a bit. I'll go check the other rooms." After saying that, Su Li returned to the living room to look for useful supplies. Opening the refrigerator, he saw boxes of milk. Su Li was overjoyed and took all of them. Besides that, he also took the oil, salt, soy sauce, and vinegar from the kitchen. He was rummaging through boxes and cabinets, searching. Suddenly, he noticed Xu Shuahui had walked out. Although she was still a bit unsteady on her feet, she had recovered a lot. She was carrying a large bag. Su Li took it and opened it. It was full of various snacks. This made him happy for a while. Then he handed her a fruit knife and told her to change into a clean set of clothes. After confirming there was nothing else here, Su Li decided to leave. He didn't want to waste any more time here. Xu Shuahui obediently returned to the bedroom. In a short while, she came out in a dress. She looked much cuter than before. Su Li nodded in appreciation. Then he left with bags of all sizes. Xu Shuahui didn't speak, just followed him quietly. Under the sunlight, her face looked pink and fair. Paired with a white dress, she looked like a doll. Su Li's heart was moved. She wasn't as reluctant to leave as he had imagined. He had been worried that she wouldn't want to leave. Perhaps because she hadn't seen the sun in a long time. Xu Shuahui couldn't help but raise her hand to shield her eyes. Suddenly, a look of terror appeared on her face. Su Li was looking at her at that moment. He understood that she wasn't scared of him. She had seen something behind him. In an instant, Su Li ducked to the side almost instinctively. At almost the same moment, something grazed his shoulder, immediately leaving several deep, bloody gashes. "Watch out!" Xu Shuahui finally cried out. She looked extremely terrified. A black shadow swept over Su Li's head and landed on the ground in front of him. It was a large, blood-red dog. It was impossible to tell what breed it used to be. It had undergone a terrifying mutation. Although he had dodged the fatal blow, Su Li was still covered in a cold sweat. The muscles all over his body tensed and bulged. He let out a roar. He had finally found a companion. Su Li didn't want to lose her so soon. Ignoring the burning, tearing pain, he gripped the iron rod in his right hand and charged forward, activating the scrying rune at the same time. Vicious Corpse Hound, an elite type among level 2 spirit essence beasts, has a chance to evolve into a vicious corpse monarch. Su Li's heart sank slightly. It was undoubtedly much stronger than the one-eyed frog. He had no time to think. Su Li swung the iron rod with all his might. The vicious corpse hound didn't pounce on Xu Shuahui. Instead, it turned sharply to dodge his attack, and leaped into the air again. The vicious corpse hound's jumping ability was astonishing. Su Li calmly retreated. Out of the corner of his eye, he glimpsed the corpse beast at his feet. The moment the vicious corpse hound pounced, Su Li kicked the corpse beast up. The vicious corpse hound's sharp claws swiped, and sank deep into the corpse beast's body. Taking advantage of this opening, Su Li swung the iron rod in his hand. His arms unleashed a force of 350 kilograms, solidly hitting the vicious corpse hound's leg. With a crisp sound of breaking bone, the vicious corpse hound's front leg was instantly broken. With one leg crippled, the vicious corpse hound opened its bloody maw, let out a roar, and charged again. Su Li, however, let out a sigh of relief. As long as he broke its other leg, this thing would be completely disabled. Just as the iron rod was about to hit its front leg, the hound suddenly twisted its body. Not only did it dodge Su Li's iron rod, but its 10-centimeter long claws swiped past Su Li's leg. With a muffled groan, Su Li felt a sharp pain in his left leg. Blood immediately spurted out. "I was careless," Su Li gasped. This vicious corpse hound was far more terrifying than he had imagined. After a successful strike, the hound did not immediately continue its attack. Instead, it stared intently at Su Li, looking for a weakness to strike again. Su Li had a flash of inspiration. He suddenly fell backward, as if his left leg couldn't support him. Such an opportunity. The vicious corpse hound would naturally not miss. It opened its bloody maw, and viciously bit towards Su Li's throat. A beast is just a beast, simple-minded. The fallen Su Li was not flustered. He just shifted his body slightly, and dodged the vicious corpse hound's maw. Then he raised his left hand, and a kitchen knife appeared in it. He chopped heavily on the vicious corpse hound's head. He thought he could finish it off, but the hound's vitality was extremely tenacious. It could still launch a counterattack before dying. Its claws lunged and dug into Su Li's chest. Su Li knew this was bad. Fortunately, his reaction was swift. He instantly kicked the vicious corpse hound away, sending it crashing to the ground, lifeless. Su Li was also seriously injured. He was scared into a cold sweat. If he hadn't reacted so quickly just now, he feared that even if he had absorbed the spirit essence, he might not have survived. A spirit essence shot out from the hound's corpse, and instantly entered Su Li's forehead. He felt a warm current surge through his body. His wounds began to heal at a visible rate. Although it wasn't the first time he'd seen this, Su Li was still amazed. He slowly stood up, looking at the hound's corpse. Suddenly, he noticed its claws began to shrink and peel off, finally turning into a white line that shot towards Su Li's left hand. At the same time, new information appeared in his mind. Acquired special ability, vicious corpse claws. Su Li immediately felt something new inside the back of his left hand. 4 claws emerged. He could feel the power and sharpness contained within these claws. Su Li took a deep breath and slowly slid his hand along the wall. A somewhat grating sound was heard. 4 white marks appeared on the concrete wall. He raised the back of his left hand again. It reminded him of Wolverine from the X-Men. At this moment, Shu Shuahui walked to the side of the vicious corpse hound and stomped on its head. Although she wasn't very strong, it expressed her hatred for this vicious corpse hound. Su Li smiled when he saw this. He thought, this little girl looks quite delicate on the outside, but she has quite a personality. For now, food was not scarce, so Su Li didn't think about using the corpse. He took Shu Shuahui to the other rooms and began to carefully search for useful supplies. When did you discover the flood? This question had been on Su Li's mind for a long time. He was afraid of upsetting Shu Shuahui before, but now that she seemed more normal, he finally couldn't help but ask. Hearing this, Shu Shuahui lowered her head slightly. After a while, she replied with 2 words, the day before yesterday. Su Li thought, the day before yesterday was the 15th. It seems her situation was similar to mine. What about your mother and the neighbors? This time, Shu Shuahui just shook her head. Seeing the puzzled look on Su Li's face, she added 3 words, they're gone. Su Li smiled wryly. He didn't know if she had a communication disorder or was just a person of few words. He didn't want to ask her what she had been through again. Communicating with her was really a bit difficult. Afterwards, the 2 of them split up to look for useful supplies. This time, the harvest was not small. They found a bag of rice in the kitchen, as well as half a bag of flour and some noodles. Su Li was overjoyed. Through the window, he carefully moved the supplies onto the raft moored outside. The raft sank deeper and deeper into the water. Su Li knew he couldn't add anything more. It seemed the next step was to find a temporary place to stay and find a way to make the raft bigger. Su Li pondered for a moment. In fact, he already had a place in mind. As the water level rose higher and higher, it slowly submerged the 30th floor. His target was a 33-story building. There were at least 3 floors left for shelter. If he was lucky, he might even meet other survivors. Su Li had Shu Shuahui sit on a storage box, and then he picked up the oar and started paddling. Although the distance was only 200 or 300 meters, Su Li's heart was heavy. In the water, no one could predict what terrifying things they might encounter along the way. Su Li, while controlling the raft, instructed Shu Shuahui, if you want to survive, you have to be strong. This world is completely different now. Don't be afraid when you see monsters. You have to be brave and fight them. Shu Shuahui sat obediently on the storage box, quietly listening to Su Li. Then she lowered her head and looked at the hammer in her hand. Just then, Su Li's corner of his eye suddenly noticed a dark shadow passing under the raft. His heart tightened. He immediately became alert. His muscles tensed up instantly. He put away the oar and gripped the iron rod. Shu Shuahui saw Su Li's reaction and seemed to sense something too. She opened her mouth slightly, wanting to ask Su Li. Su Li waved his left hand at her slightly, signaling her to be quiet. In just an instant, the water behind Su Li splashed, and then a black shadow shot out of the water and bit his calf. Su Li didn't have time to react. He felt a force pulling him, and he slid off the raft into the water. Having experienced life and death struggles these past few days, Su Li had learned to remain calm in a crisis. He calmly opened his eyes wide, trying to see clearly what had bitten him. It was a giant grey rat. Its body was over a meter long, and it had 4 fangs in its mouth. It paddled in the water with its 4 limbs, biting Su Li's calf and constantly pulling him down. It obviously wanted to drag him into the deep water. Su Li took a deep breath, then let go of the raft, and actively sank into the water. He clenched his left hand into a fist, and smashed it directly onto the giant rat's head. The giant rat obviously didn't expect Su Li's reaction to be so swift. It was too late to let go and dodge. The punch itself wasn't fatal. What was truly fatal was the vicious corpse claws he activated. The 10-centimeter long claws sank into the giant rat's head, as easily as cutting through tofu. Then Su Li activated the scrying rune again. Water rat beast. A common type among level 2 spirit essence beasts. It seems only elite spirit essence beasts have a chance of granting special abilities. As Su Li was thinking, another message appeared in his mind. Level 2 spirit essence user. Spirit essence 3/20. Su Li didn't immediately surface. Instead, he quietly opened his eyes wide, and looked around and below him in the water. The depths of the water were pure darkness, vaguely exuding a strange sense of foreboding. It seemed some kind of undercurrent was surging. Su Li dared not linger. He kicked his legs and returned to the raft. He dared not delay any longer. He picked up the oar and continued to paddle. As he came within 50 meters, Su Li made another discovery. Several corpse beasts appeared ahead. The raft was moving fast. In the blink of an eye, it reached the corpse beasts. Su Li, afraid the raft would be damaged if it hit the corpse beasts, quickly slid into the water. He used his body to block the raft, and then tore off the corpse beast's limbs, throwing it onto the raft. Su Li wasn't interested in this low-level corpse beast. He might as well hand it over to Shu Shuahui. Come on, it's all yours. Shu Shuahui gripped the hammer tightly, and carefully walked over from the raft. Seeing her hesitation, Su Li couldn't help but call out anxiously. He had noticed the water ahead was turbulent. More corpse beasts were appearing. They were surrounding them. Hearing Su Li's urging, Shu Shuahui finally gripped the iron hammer with both hands, and smashed it down on the corpse beast's head. But she didn't manage to smash the corpse beast's head open. Obviously, she didn't have enough strength to swing the hammer. Seeing several corpse beasts swarming over, Su Li cursed under his breath, about to do it himself. Suddenly, he felt his feet sink, a force pulling at him. Su Li looked closely, and saw several water rat beasts had appeared underwater. Su Li grunted in pain. He clenched his left hand into a fist, and activated the vicious corpse claws, striking downwards. The sharp claws instantly sliced its head open. At the same time, the other 2 water rat beasts didn't attack him. One started gnawing on the raft, while the other went for Shu Shuahui. Su Li watched, both shocked and furious. With the iron rod in his right hand, he turned and rushed towards Shu Shuahui. She was just an ordinary girl. How could she possibly fend off the terrifying water rat beast? He was afraid the water rat beast, in one encounter, could bite through her fair, delicate neck. Letting out a roar, Su Li's speed suddenly increased. He swung the iron rod forcefully, solidly hitting the water rat that was pouncing on Shu Shuahui. Because Su Li charged too fast, he lost his balance and fell heavily into the water again. It happened so suddenly, Su Li didn't have time to react, and a mouthful of water rushed into his mouth. A sharp pain suddenly came from his back. Su Li knew his back had been attacked. Immediately after, a pain shot through his calf. He was bitten again by a water rat beast that appeared from underwater. This water rat beast was quite strong. It tried to drag him deeper into the water. All this happened in the blink of an eye. The last thing he heard was Shu Zuhui's scream. It's over. The thought flashed through Su Li's mind. Shu Shuahui was just an ordinary little girl, attacked by the water rat beasts. She had no chance of survival. An indescribable grief and anger surged within Su Li. These damn monsters. Just then, he heard a splash. Su Li quickly looked up, and saw a figure fall from the raft above. Was it Shu Shuahui who fell into the water? No, her body wasn't that big. All these were thoughts that flashed by in an instant. He saw that the figure who fell into the water was more agile than a fish. It instantly dodged him and punched the water rat beast. The punch didn't look very destructive. It didn't even break the water rat beast's skin. But the water rat beast's eyes suddenly rolled back. Its mouth fell open, and it died. Then a spirit essence flew towards this figure. In a flash, Su Li suddenly understood. This was a complete stranger, and like him, he was a spirit essence user. His swimming skills were excellent. He moved like a fish in the water, dodging attacks from both sides. Then he punched a water rat beast in the head. The hit water rat beast shuddered, and then died silently. Su Li, watching from a distance, was very puzzled. The punch didn't look very powerful. There weren't even any visible wounds on the surface. This attack method was truly bizarre. The remaining water rat beasts seemed frightened. They all turned and fled quickly into the water. This person didn't give chase. Instead, he swam upwards. Su Li also rose to the surface at the same time. His physical condition was now extremely strong. With his basic constitution, he could hold his breath for 2 minutes. If he activated the enhanced lungs special ability, he could actually stay active in the water for 4 minutes. Su Li surfaced and took a deep breath. Then he looked up at Shu Shuahui on the raft. She wasn't dead. Beside her were the corpses of 2 water rat beasts. Obviously, after he fell into the water, she was saved by someone when she was in danger. When Shu Shuahui saw Su Li, she was overjoyed. She hurried over to him. Her small hands gestured non-stop, trying to tell Su Li that someone had saved him. I know. Su Li pulled himself up onto the edge of the raft. Just then, a voice followed with a laugh. Are you talking about me? Su Li followed the voice and looked over. A head emerged from the water. It was a middle-aged man of about 37 or 38. He had finally met another survivor, and one who was so powerful. A trace of excitement surged in Su Li's heart. He quickly patted the raft and said, Big brother, thank you for just now. Hurry up and get on, it's dangerous in the water. But the middle-aged man smiled and shook his head. I actually think it's quite nice in the water. I'll give you a hand. As he said that, he took a breath, and dived back into the water. Then he swam to the back of the raft. He pushed with both hands, and it moved towards the building. Welcome. I've been bored to death being alone these past few days. My name is Ding Longyun. My name is Su Li. Her name is Shu Shuahui. Big brother Ding, have you been alone these few days? Su Li said, looking at the building. This building has 32 floors. Although 29 floors are submerged, there are still 3 floors above the water. There were originally 4 of us, but now I'm the only one left. Ding Longyun's tone sounded relaxed, but Su Li understood the slight hint of something else. In his casual sentence, there was a hidden sense of tragedy. Shu Shuahui was a little curious. She couldn't help but whisper, what about the other 3 people? Did they leave? Ding Longyun glanced at her. You could say that, but they didn't leave this building. They left this world. Su Li had stayed in his own place before, and had also encountered many attacks. But fortunately, he survived. And this Ding Longyun started with 4 people, but unexpectedly, 3 of them died. It's possible the dangers they encountered far exceeded what he had encountered. It seemed this building sticking out of the water was more dangerous than imagined. This made Su Li's scalp tingle. He had originally planned to use this as a base. Hearing Ding Longyun's words, Shu Shuahui also understood. Her little face immediately turned pale. Looking at the approaching building, a hint of fear was in her eyes. Ding Longyun seemed to know what they were thinking. He suddenly grinned. But don't be too scared. I've figured out some patterns these last few days. As long as you're not too greedy, you'll be fine. By the way, when did you guys discover the flood? Seeing Ding Longyun ask, Su Li also gave a brief introduction. I originally lived in that building. I woke up on the morning of the 15th and it was like this. Me too. I woke up on the morning of the 15th. Discovered something was wrong outside. Looked for people everywhere, and later found out there were only 4 of us in this whole building. The other residents had suddenly and mysteriously disappeared. The strangest thing is that many apartments had a thick layer of dust, as if they hadn't been lived in for a while. Ding Longyun said while pushing the raft. The situation he described, Su Li had noticed long ago. He just couldn't figure out the reason. Seeing Ding Longyun was still in the water, he wanted to ask him to come up and paddle together, but he didn't expect that Ding Longyun actually got seasick. Although they were getting closer to the building ahead, Su Li remained very alert. to prevent any more accidents. Ding Longyun pushed the raft, and soon they arrived at a balcony. Su Li picked up a brick tied with a rope, and threw it in first. "I'll hold the raft steady for you. You guys go up first." Ding Longyun was very enthusiastic. He swam along the edge of the raft. Su Li nodded and grunted in agreement. He climbed onto the balcony first. He found that water had already entered. The water level had been rising slowly these past few days. The 30th floor was completely uninhabitable. With his feet on solid ground, Su Li let out a soft sigh of relief. He first secured the rope on one side, and then pulled Shu Shuahui in as well. After that, Su Li went back onto the raft, and started moving the various supplies from it. He planned to stay here for now. At least he wouldn't be leaving anytime soon. Shu Shuahui stood by the balcony, receiving the various items, but she couldn't catch some of the heavier things. Just then, Ding Longyun also emerged from the water, and climbed up, grabbing the edge of the balcony. "Little girl, you take a rest. Let me do it." Ding Longyun smiled and took Su Li's storage box. He asked curiously, "What's in here?" "It's all boiled water. Clean and hygienic. You can drink it without worry. You can even heat it up if conditions allow." Hearing this, Ding Longyun laughed. "You're really something. To bring so much water. It's actually completely unnecessary." Su Li's eyes lit up. "Don't tell me the tap water here is still running." Ding Longyun pursed his lips. "What are you thinking? Water, electricity, and gas were all cut off long ago, but isn't there water everywhere outside?" Su Li looked at Ding Longyun with some astonishment, pointing at the endless water outside, thinking about how many corpses were soaking in that water, and what other filth was mixed in. He really didn't dare to drink it. Seeing Su Li's shocked expression, Ding Longyun couldn't help but smile. "I know what you're thinking. Actually, you just need to enhance your stomach. Looking at you, have you not enhanced it?" Su Li's heart stirred. The two previous enhancements, he had chosen his lungs, and another time, he had chosen to enhance his muscles. Seeing Su Li shake his head, Ding Longyun explained, "You need to enhance your stomach at least once. That way, our stomachs can adapt to drinking cold water, and eating raw meat. At least it ensures we won't get sick because of it. Although we don't lack food for now, none of us knows how long these days will last. Clean food is a finite resource. Sooner or later, we'll be forced to eat the meat of these monsters." Su Li understood and nodded in agreement. He then asked curiously, "Just now, when you attacked that water rat beast, I couldn't see any wounds on the outside, so why did it suddenly die? You call those giant water rat beasts? The name fits. Are you asking about this?" Ding Longyun said, raising his right hand. Su Li saw his fist. On the surface, a faint, almost invisible substance was flowing. It only appeared for an instant, and it disappeared before he could see it clearly. "I got this from killing a huge monster. It looked a lot like those rats just now, but it was 2 or 3 times bigger. It must have been their leader. Of the 4 people who originally lived here, 2 were killed by it. I was lucky enough to land the final blow and obtained this soul vibration ability. The attack doesn't damage the skin, but it can directly destroy the internal nerves." As Ding Longyun spoke, a proud look appeared on his face. Su Li also understood. Ding Longyun didn't have the scrying rune, so naturally he couldn't see the information on these monsters. That's why he only called them giant water rats, and the one he killed must have been a water rat king. Based on previous experience, killing an elite spirit essence beast has a certain chance of granting a special skill, like the scrying rune and the vicious corpse claws. The two of them quickly moved the things up. When Ding Longyun saw the canister of liquefied gas, his eyes lit up. "I haven't had a hot meal in days. Quick, follow me upstairs. The ground floor here is flooded. We can't stay." Ding Longyun urged the two of them to go upstairs quickly. Su Li grunted in agreement. He and Shu Shuahui followed him up. The smell of blood was everywhere. The corpses of corpse beasts could be seen, and signs of destruction were everywhere. A fierce battle had clearly taken place here. Su Li was a little curious. What level of spirit essence user Ding Longyun was now? He wanted to ask several times but held back. After all, they had just met, and weren't too familiar with each other yet. It didn't seem right to ask too many questions. Reaching the top floor, Ding Longyun opened a security door. Su Li found that the furniture here had been moved out, and the windows were all sealed up, creating a warehouse-like room. He saw various supplies like rice and flour, The next room was filled with clothes and other things. Although the quantity of each item wasn't large, the variety was extremely rich. There are 24 households on these 3 floors. All their things have been gathered here, Ding Longyun said with some pride. As long as these things don't go bad, they're enough for us to last for a long time. Unfortunately, he paused here for a moment, a trace of regret on his face. We can't stay here for long. Su Li's heart stirred and he quickly asked, even if the water level is still slowly rising, at its current rate, it should take a long time to flood this top floor. Ding Longyun shook his head. It's not the water level, it's these monsters. I've figured out a bit of a pattern these past few days. The monsters that appear seem to be getting more and more terrifying, but luckily, now I have you too. At this point, his spirits lifted. What level are you all? I'm level 3. I just need 8 more spirit essences to level up again. Su Li didn't expect him to say it voluntarily. I'm only level 2. As for Xue Hui, she's just an ordinary person. Ding Longyun nodded. That's nothing. We can just catch a few zombies for her to kill later. Su Li knew the zombies he mentioned were the corpse beasts. There are a lot of clothes and socks here. You can pick whatever you want. After changing into a clean set of clothes and socks, Ding Longyun went to the kitchen and connected the gas canister to the stove. After lighting it, he was as excited as a child. Then he found a pressure cooker. We're going to have fragrant white rice to eat soon. Su Li occasionally looked outside. He could vaguely see in the water around the building, dark shadows appearing from time to time. He even saw corpse beasts emerging from the water, but they didn't come close to attack him. They just surfaced and then sank again. It was clearly not safe here. He somewhat understood what Ding Longyun meant, because the building he lived in before didn't have this situation around it. In a short while, the aroma of rice wafted out. Su Li took a deep breath. He hadn't had a hot meal in days. The smell of the rice in his nostrils was more tempting than any delicacy. Su Li brought a table from the next room. Xue Hui wiped the table clean with a cloth. Ding Longyun, as if by magic, found beef, ham sausages, chicken feet, and so on from the pile of supplies and placed them on the table. Xue Hui had long been unable to resist swallowing her saliva. Don't you feel a little bit of warmth, like a family, after staying here for these few days? Only today, does it finally feel like a proper meal? Ding Longyun laughed and found 3 sets of bowls and chopsticks. Then he filled 3 large bowls with rice. Su Li remembered he still had a few cans of beer. He quickly took them out and handed one to Ding Longyun. Although when he was working before, to sign contracts and do business, he had drunk countless drinks at social events, which made him afraid of the sight of alcohol. But unexpectedly, after not drinking for a few days, he suddenly missed it a little. I don't like beer. I like white liquor, Ding Longyun said and brought over a bottle of liquor and a bottle of soda. He handed the soda to Xue Hui. Su Li looked and saw it was a bottle of Feitian Marotai. There's a lot of this in the next room, and also a lot of gold and cash. Ding Longyun sighed at this point. Before, these were things I dreamed of my whole life, but now that they are suddenly piled in front of me, I don't have the slightest interest anymore. Su Li thought for a moment and said, have you never thought that if this flood recedes, and everything returns to the normal order of before, these things would be valuable again? Ding Longyun downed the liquor in his cup. Do you believe everything will go back to how it was? Don't be naive. A flood that can submerge a city can't possibly only happen here. If only our area was flooded, we should have seen rescuers by now. But in reality, Su Li fell silent. Then he poured the liquor from his cup into his mouth. It burned uncomfortably, but there was also an indescribable feeling of exhilaration and excitement. Submerged by the flood, all the dead have resurrected as zombies. This world has already changed. Ding Longyun smiled faintly. Then he poured another glass for Su Li and himself. We should still exercise some restraint. We can't get drunk. Su Li stopped Ding Longyun. He had just noticed corpse beasts lurking around. Danger could strike at any moment. If he and Ding Longyun got drunk, it would be troublesome. I know my limits, and it's generally not very dangerous during the day. As long as we don't carelessly throw corpses down, there probably won't be a major disturbance. But the night is different, so we need to seize the time to rest well. The night is our hunting time. As Ding Longyun said this, his eyes gleamed. Using bait to lure these monsters for hunting, we can only become stronger by hunting for spirit essence. Only the strong can survive. Su Li looked at Ding Longyun. Although he had killed many spirit essence beasts before, he had always been in a passive state. It was the spirit essence beasts that attacked him, and he only killed them in self-defense. Now, looking at Ding Longyun, he understood that he actually chose to hunt proactively, to become stronger. He suddenly understood why Ding Longyun was able to evolve so quickly. What is the bait? Ding Longyun explained, it's these monsters. Push their corpses into the water, and you can quickly attract monsters. The more corpses, the stronger the monsters attracted will be, so we need to be careful. We must not attract monsters we can't handle, otherwise, we'd be playing with fire. Su Li nodded slightly. He had previously piled the corpses in the hallway, and had never thrown them into the water. He was afraid of attracting monsters. He didn't expect it to be true. If at that time, he had blindly thrown all the corpses into the water, who knows what terrifying monsters he would have attracted. Thinking back on it now, he felt a lingering fear. Xu Shuahui was always obediently on the side, silently listening to their conversation. She ate her food in small bites, and occasionally took a small sip of her soda. She seemed very interested in the drink. Finally, they were full. After drinking 3 glasses of white liquor, Ding Longyun turned his cup upside down. Then a serious expression appeared on his face. After we eat, let's get a good sleep. Tonight is the main event. Seeing Ding Longyun's solemn expression, Su Li felt a hint of tension. Proactively hunting spirit essence beasts to obtain spirit essence was a first for him. After the meal, the 3 of them worked together to simply clean up the dishes. They went to the next apartment. It was a 3-bedroom apartment. The furniture inside had been cleared out. Instead, 4 beds were lined up side by side. Besides that, the windows of this apartment were also sealed shut, making the light a bit dim. For safety, at that time, the 4 of us all slept together. We could look out for each other. Unfortunately, now I'm the only one left. At this, Ding Longyun's face darkened. Seeing these 4 beds, Su Li's heart stirred slightly. Are you all residents of this building, or did someone come from somewhere else? They were all residents here. I live on the 31st floor. The other 2 were a father and son who lived on the top floor. The apartment filled with supplies was theirs. Hearing Ding Longyun say this, Su Li was lost in thought. The building I lived in before only had 30 floors, and I was the only survivor. Zuhuis building also had 30 floors. The survivors should have been her and her father. Of course, he didn't mention her father's later death, fearing it would upset Xu Shuahui. Ding Longyun also understood the meaning in Su Li's words. He nodded slightly and asked, what does this mean? This building has 32 floors. 3 floors are above the water, and there were 4 survivors. So I was thinking, for those taller buildings, would there be more survivors? Hearing this, Ding Longyun was stunned. Your analysis makes sense. That should be correct. I remember Zifeng Tower is not far from here. Zifeng Tower has 38 floors. If we follow this pattern, after the flood came, there should be at least 8 floors above the water. Maybe there are a lot of survivors. Su Li also knew that Zifeng Tower, in this area, was a relatively iconic building. It's about 2 or 3 kilometers from here. This distance is not too far, but it's not close either. For Ding Longyun, who gets seasick, it would be a killer. But if there are really a lot of people there, we would have found an organization. After Su Li agreed, the 3 of them each found a bed and started to rest, to save up energy for 2 nights' hunt. Having had a little to drink at noon, and with the 3 of them together, he felt a greater sense of security than in the past 2 days. This allowed Su Li to sleep very comfortably. He was finally woken up by Ding Longyun. Looking at the clock hanging on the wall, it was already past 5 p.m. Did you hear that? A few relatively low-level zombies have arrived. These monsters have a certain pattern of movement. Most of the ones that come out during the day aren't strong. The powerful monsters only come out at night. Of course, what I'm saying isn't absolute. It's just a relative pattern. Su Li walked to the security door. Through the peephole, he indeed saw a few corpse beasts in the hallway. They were knocking on the doors one by one, slowly approaching their location. I remember the little girl is still an ordinary person. These corpse beasts are perfect for her to practice on. Ding Longyun took out a steel shovel from under the bed, and then opened the security door. He slipped out. Su Li waved to Xu Shuahui. Come here quickly. Xu Shuahui, who had just woken up, quickly got out of bed upon hearing his voice. Su Li handed the hammer to Xu Shuahui. This was the hammer she had used before. He just didn't need it anymore now that he had the iron rod. Do I have to hammer a corpse's head again? Xu Shuahui asked in a low voice, showing a hint of resistance. Su Li knew she was a bit reluctant, but he said very seriously, remember, if you want to survive, you have to do this. Hearing him say that, Xu Shuahui pursed her lips and said nothing. When he took Xu Shuahui out, 5 corpse beasts were already down in the hallway. Ding Longyun was using a steel shovel. He had broken the limbs of these corpse beasts, leaving them to only writhe on the ground. He was clearly leaving the final blow for Xu Shuahui. Little girl, come here. These on the ground are for you, Ding Longyun said. While rushing towards the last remaining standing corpse beast, he swung the steel shovel in his hand and directly hit the corpse beast's knee. The action was simple and brutal. He quickly disabled all the corpse beast's limbs. Grip the hammer with both hands and smash down with all your might. Don't be afraid and don't hesitate. They're not people anymore, they're monsters. Su Li guided Xu Shuahui, knowing she had a psychological barrier, and she wasn't very strong, so it wouldn't be easy to smash the corpse beast's head. The first one is the hardest. Once you deal with the first one, the rest will become easier and easier. Under Su Li's guidance, Xu Shuahui finally mustered her courage. She gripped the hammer with both hands and smashed it down on the corpse beast's head, but she couldn't help but close her eyes. As a result, the hammer missed. The hammer hit the ground, and the recoil made Xu Zuhui's hands go numb. A pained expression appeared on her face. Su Li sighed. He could only grab her hands from behind and help her grip the hammer. He raised her arms and swung down hard, letting go halfway. This time, the hammer solidly hit the back of the corpse beast's head. Because of her lack of strength, it didn't smash it. Again. Su Li raised her arms to help her again. After repeating this, Xu Shuahui finally dared to open her eyes and watch. Finally, with a crisp crack, the corpse beast's head was smashed open. A spirit essence appeared and entered Xu Zuhui's forehead. Then she showed a suppressed expression, clearly feeling the information appearing in her mind. After obtaining her first spirit essence, her whole body was undergoing changes, including an increase in strength. The initial absorption of spirit essence brings a significant increase in strength with each one. Xu Shuahui was no exception. With the first experience, and her strength increased significantly, dealing with the second corpse beast was not so difficult. Xu Shuahui hit the second corpse beast 3 times in a row, and finally finished it off. After getting the second spirit essence, Xu Zuhui's strength increased by at least 50 kilograms. With greater strength, the rest became even easier. Soon, Xu Shuahui had killed 5 corpse beasts, and the spirit essence she obtained reached 5. She successfully promoted to a level 1 spirit essence user. Seeing this, Ding Longyun quickly reminded her loudly, remember to choose to enhance your stomach. But Su Li suggested, it's better to enhance the lungs the first time. The outside is all water now. It's better to enhance underwater survival ability first. We still have enough food for now. It's not yet at the point where we need to drink the outside water, or eat monster corpses. Xu Shuahui hesitated for a moment. But there's no option to enhance lungs or stomach, only eyes and ears. Hearing this, Su Li pondered. It seems the choices for each promotion are random. They might not be the same for everyone. One enhances eyesight, the other enhances hearing. It feels like choosing either one is about the same. Little girl, you choose for yourself. Su Li felt that Ding Longyun had a point. Vision and hearing are equally important. Choosing to enhance either one wouldn't be wrong. Shuahui secretly glanced at Su Li. I chose to enhance my eyes. Ding Longyun looked at the window at the end of the hallway. It's getting late. I have to go prepare dinner. Tonight is the main event. Ding Longyun's cooking skills were not bad. The egg fried rice he made was excellent in color, aroma, and taste. The rice grains were golden yellow, looking very appetizing. Su Li took a deep breath and praised. To be honest, I can't do anything besides making instant noodles. Praised by Su Li, Ding Longyun chuckled. Can't be helped. I've lived alone since my divorce. I can't order takeout every day, can I? I have a daughter, she's 13 this year. Because I didn't have a steady job before, she was awarded to my ex-wife. As Ding Longyun said this, a bitter look appeared on his face. Then he looked at Xu Shuahui again, a hint of paternal love in his eyes. If we have the chance to meet her, You two will definitely become good friends. Only then did Su Li realize that Ding Longyun had been taking great care of Xu Shuahui, doting on her. Xu Shuahui blinked her big eyes, seeming to want to say something. Her gaze then shifted to Su Li's face. Su Li saw her holding her bowl but not eating. His face darkened. Eat. Xu Shuahui was startled, and immediately lowered her head obediently, eating in big mouthfuls, because she didn't really like proper meals, preferring snacks instead. The two big men forced her to eat a little more. Only then did Xu Shuahui take a few more bites. Ding Longyun couldn't do anything about her, so he could only take away the remaining fried rice. By now, the sky had completely darkened. Ding Longyun found a candle and lit it, becoming the only source of light in the dark room. We'll go to the rooftop together later. Ding Longyun took out the steel shovel and a dagger, took out a cloth, and gently wiped them. Then he gave the dagger to Xu Shuahui. I've sharpened this dagger. It's very sharp. Be careful when you use it. Xu Shuahui nodded. She grunted softly in acknowledgement. Then she glanced at Su Li. Feeling she couldn't show favoritism, she also brought the hammer he had given her. The three of them rested for a while. When it was 7 o'clock, they blew out the candle on the table. He held the shovel in one hand and opened the door with the other. Xu Shuahui followed behind him. Su Li walked at the very back with his iron rod. Afterwards, the three of them dragged a corpse beast's body, and headed up the stairs to the rooftop. Ding Longyun led the way. There were many corpses piled on the rooftop. Clearly, over the past few days, all the spirit essence beasts killed by Ding Longyun had mostly been moved up here by him. Su Li saw at a glance. There were at least 20 or 30 corpses. The vast majority were low-level corpse beasts, and there were also a few water rat beasts. The moon tonight was big and round. Ding Longyun looked up at the sky. It wasn't particularly dark under the night sky. At least they could make out each other's vague figures. Su Li saw at the edge of the rooftop 4 thick ropes hanging down. One end of these ropes was fixed to the rooftop, while the other end hung down into the water. What are these ropes for? You'll know in a bit. Ding Longyun replied, while throwing 2 more corpse beasts down. Throwing down 8 corpses at once should be enough to alert them. Well, just wait here for them to come up. Under the moonlight, unusual ripples appeared in the water. Soon, dark shadows emerged. The ones that came out were all low-level corpse beasts. They grabbed the hanging ropes and climbed up along them. Su Li took a light breath. Only then did he understand the purpose of these 4 ropes. They were for the corpse beasts to climb onto the rooftop. Although these zombies were relatively simple-minded, they knew how to use the ropes to climb up. We just need to stand guard here, and we can easily deal with them. Ding Longyun smiled slightly, holding his steel shovel. But it's useless for us to kill these zombies. Let's leave them to the girl, Shuahui. Let her get to level 2 sooner. Xu Shuahui was standing next to Su Li, stretching her neck to look down like him. Her pupils constricted slightly. She looked down like an eagle. There's one with 3 hands down there. Su Li was slightly stunned. He looked at the climbing corpse beasts, but he didn't see any with an extra hand. These corpse beasts climbed up the ropes, and soon appeared in front of the 3 of them. Ding Longyun didn't attack them. He was afraid of knocking them off. Instead, he let them climb onto the rooftop. Before he swung the steel shovel in his hand, hitting a corpse beast's thigh. The corpse beast was sent flying sideways. Shuahui, go. With her previous experience, Xu Shuahui was no longer afraid of these corpse beasts. She immediately took her hammer and ran towards the corpse beast that had been knocked away. Su Li also joined in. He followed Ding Longyun's example and only attacked the corpse beast's limbs, leaving the final blow for Xu Shuahui. Soon, Xu Shuahui had killed 5 corpse beasts. She now only needed 4 more spirit essences to promote to a level 2 spirit essence user. As Ding Longyun knocked down the 6th corpse beast, a dark shadow suddenly flashed before him. Another corpse beast pulled on the rope and jumped up forcefully. This corpse beast was extremely fast, completely different from the previous 6. Ding Longyun was startled and instinctively retreated. The corpse beast had already leaped and kicked him squarely in the chest. With a muffled grunt, Ding Longyun was thrown backward. On the other side, Su Li was shocked. He raised the iron rod in his hand and smashed it down on this corpse beast. He quickly activated the scrying rune. He felt this corpse beast was somewhat different from the usual ones. Just as the iron rod was about to hit, the corpse beast's chest suddenly split open. From this split open chest, A pale arm reached out, raising up to protect its head. At the same moment, a message appeared in Su Li's mind. It was information about the corpse beast before him. Advanced corpse beast. A powerful corpse beast evolved from a low-level one. Besides possessing the instincts of a low-level corpse beast, it also has a certain level of intelligence, and possesses a special ability from its evolution, has a certain probability of evolving into a higher intelligent being. The undead.